You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready? Here we go. Easy. Kill. Fight.
But that was a taste of what he was supposed to be.
Last year hurts.
Oh, and how this will all work out. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see the first play they don't try to give the football to Terrell Owens. This way. Here's it his way. Inside the 20. And on the first play of
What is up, everybody, and welcome to Trending for Four Quarters right here on DSM Media. We are live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Make sure you share it out, like it, retweet it, do what you do, smash those buttons. And if you want to get involved with the conversation, the easiest way to do it is head over to our YouTube page. The road to 500 subscribers is on. I got to beat these guys to 500. I'm joined by some great guys right here. We had them on at the beginning of the season. This is the Ref the District crew. And I'm like, you know what? First game against Washington. I got to bring these guys back. I got to talk Washington versus Eagles with these guys. Ref the District. We got Nathan. We got Stoner. And we got Trev. Welcome back, gentlemen.
It's good to be back, Phil. How are you doing this evening, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I almost just crashed and burned with this new sound system. But you know what? We're here. We're ready to roll.
Yeah, buddy, you didn't crash and burn with it, right?
No, I mean, it's
let's
working.
go.
We're live. It's working. I don't know.
I can
still
hear
can't
you.
hear my sound effects.
I think let us run the show, and I think your Eagles fans will appreciate because we just finished up our show, and we have a traitor in our midst. He might as well be wearing some Eagles green.
Yeah, man. My man Stoner was
disappointed
about the
us
Philadelphia Eagles
show.
on our podcast.
He was talking up the Eagles pretty heavily.
Big time.
We're hoping he's going to change his tune.
Look at him.
Maybe he's being contrarian.
There's lots to talk about with this game this week, but not just the simple Washington versus Philly rival. So we got lots to get into. We're going to get into them real quick. I got to mention we're brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING, the name of the show. It does two things. One, it gets you 20% off and free shipping. And two, it lets them know that I sent you from the show. So make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Again, the leader in men's grooming products. We got Mark checking in. How did the Washington football team out victory? I don't know about that. Real quick, before we get into it, one of you guys want to just let everybody know where they can find you guys, when your shows are and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. So we're Ref the District. You introduced us individually. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, our main platforms. We stream live every Wednesday at 7 Eastern. We also have our Day After Reckoning. And today's show, we actually announced that we're going to have a betting show that we're going to start on the beginning of the new year. So 1 Jan, we're going to open that up. We do a dollar segment where we do some prop bets, but we're going to open that up to do a little bit more. So I'll be coming on 1 January, but they can catch us Ref the District on all of those platforms.
Awesome. And you guys are doing a great job. I've been following you all season long. I really do appreciate your time, guys. I really do. Yeah. I can't believe you guys haven't kicked Trev out yet. I mean, I know he was new when I got you guys on last. I wasn't sure if he was going to stick around.
I'm here to stay.
Trev is the heartbeat of this show. Let me tell you that.
We need unbridled optimism. So he's hilarious. As Washington's lost 7 games this year. It's funny.
Yeah.
because on Monday, on our day after reckoning, Trev just hates the team, and he's just like, this team's trash, everything. And then by our Wednesday show, he's just like, we're gonna win Sunday. They're the best team ever.
You got to compartmentalize, man. On to the next.
That's right. I do a thing on my Monday morning show. I call it Overreaction Monday, and it's basically sounds what Trev does there. Total overreaction every Monday morning.
Big time, for sure, always.
All right, so we got to dive into this, and we got to talk first about the obvious, topic in the room, and that's the COVID-related situation, not just with Washington, but pretty much with the entire NFL. I mean, what's Washington up to now? 12, 14 guys 18. That are on the 18 guys now.
18 players.
And 25 total if you add injuries to that. So there we go.
But the 18 guys, I mean, there's been over 100 players and coaches in the last 2 days that have been added to the COVID protocols and tested positive in the NFL. First off, I mean, Washington, can they even play the game with that many guys on the COVID protocol list?
Well, I'm suiting up at tight end and linebacker. Stoner is going in for defensive tackle, DE, and
I'm the secret weapon.
Wide
I'm the secret weapon,
and we got him covered. We can handle it. A couple other fans are coming in. We're flying a guy in from the UK. we can do this.
Yeah.
But we're just signing a bunch of practice squad. We just brought somebody from the Green Bay practice squad who was with us last year, but we brought him back, and we're kind of just sticking our hand in the barrel like this and pulling out a hat and adding him to the squad.
Sign the guy.
Yeah, look. I don't like. I think literally, what's COVID been? Almost 2 full years since COVID started around here. I try to not talk about it as much as possible. I try to keep that political stuff out of the topic of conversation.
Sure.
You guys know how sensitive that could be and how many people get offended by that, conversation. So the question is, should the league put a week or 2 pause or 3, or should they just continue going on and just make these teams make do with what they've got?
Stoner, you go ahead.
Man, that's a tough question. Should they is different than will they, because they definitely should, but they're not going to. Although there are some rumors going around now that the league and the players union are in talks about making some changes to the protocol.
Right.
Because this is just it's unfair basically for Washington to have 18 guys on a COVID list and Philadelphia coming off of an off week and have what is 2 guys on COVID?
We have 1 practice squad guy and 1 wide receiver, Quez Watkins.
You know what?
Jason Pusley on our practice squad.
You know what, Phil? That's not fair. That's just unfair.
Right? I'm totally in agreement with you there. Yeah. I mean, we haven't dealt with it really severely with the Eagles. We've dealt with it last year and this year with the Sixers. Both seasons, the Sixers were 7-8 guys at a time on COVID protocols.
Yeah,
and it's just not fair to the players on the team. For win losses aside, you're putting the players in a position to be at risk, to get hurt,
absolutely.
To embarrass themselves, a lot of different things. And I think it's a conversation that needs to be had that, is it totally out of the realm of possibility or smarts to just shut it down for a couple of weeks till this passes?
I mean, you're looking at the games in the NBA and NHL as well. So, but they have this policy in place where they've made an agreement where they're not going to.
They're not.
They won't. But
they still might now that they're in talks. But
I think they'll change some of the policy. I don't think they're going to cancel or reschedule the games. Where they really need to look at is the fact that these games, particularly this one, this is a big game for the NFC playoffs. These, the teams are 6 and 7, but Washington sits in that 7th seed. Philadelphia Eagles are in the hunt. This could be a big factor as this is the home stretch here. And this is, it's not just Washington football team, even though that's who we're supporting. But I think one of the biggest factors on the NFLPA, NFL talks is actually Baker Mayfield is on the COVID list as well. And I think that's a driving factor because the Cleveland Browns are also in the hunt. And if you're talking, you want the best players and the best teams in the playoffs, you need to make some changes to policy. So I think that's where they're going to be, that's going to come down to. I think you're going to see the tests, be done daily, if not more. They might change it so you only need 1 negative if you have been vaccinated. So I think that number 8, that 18 number for Washington, could potentially go down, but it can also go higher, because we're only in Wednesday. So it could potentially jump here Thursday and Friday, but maybe by Saturday, there's a few names that are off that list.
And maybe those policies won't go into effect until after this week is played out. Like maybe it's too soon. Like the games are almost here, and to change a policy. Yeah, tomorrow starts the new week.
Yeah, you can't change the policy, and once tomorrow's game starts, you can't change the policy after that. Wouldn't be fair.
No,
I want to touch back on the injury issues and the health and safety of the players that actually play, because you got someone like Tyler Heineke, and I was going to ask you guys, because he's injured, but it seems like he's going to have to play, whether he's really fully healthy or not, because now Kyle Allen's on the COVID list.
COVID list.
So you're forcing a player that might not actually be ready to play now. He's going to have to. I hate to use the term, but suck it up and do it, because who else is your third string quarterback, right? So but is that fair?
No, it's not fair, but it's part of the game. I hate to be like that, but it is what it is. It's not fair, but he is our starting quarterback anyway. He was going to play regardless. I think he was going to start regardless of the situation anyway, whether he's banged up or not. I think he was still in the position to start, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Is it fair that Nate Sudfeld saw action in week 17
yes, it's very
last
fair.
year?
Yes, it is. It is for us. That was so fair.
If the Philadelphia Eagles see Shermer, I don't think that they're going to be upset with it, right? I don't think you as an Eagles fan are going to be upset if you guys.
Well, maybe they don't know how to game plan for
Cam Newton, or
we don't know how to game plan for anybody
signed.
regularly.
Oh, jeez. That was a shot at his own team. That was a good one.
See what I'm doing?
Never. Look, I'll end it with one more thing I saw. And again, like I said, this is the most COVID talk I've had on any of my shows in the last 2 years.
Same.
I did see somebody, I forget who it was. It was an ESPN or a Fox, or it was one of the major sports networks, said that they should let athletes that are vaccinated, even if they test positive, play. And I thought that was really controversial, but again, they're vaxxed. Technically, if you read the things, sometimes some people will say the vax doesn't spread it. You don't spread it as well if you're vaxxed. All that different stuff. I just want to throw that out there. I'm against it. I don't think that's a good idea, personally.
That's not a great idea at all.
Yeah, not a good idea at all. But these are some of the rumors that this. It's going on in the NBA, the NHL, and the NFL right now to extreme. And these are all the things that we're going to have to be hearing about on the news in the next couple of days.
And by the way, it's going on in your local town, and it's going on in other countries. It's cold and flu
but I will
season,
say,
so it's COVID season as well.
For
sure.
It sucks. Obviously, it sucks all the way around for all three big sports organizations. But I don't want to say thankfully, but at least the NFL, it's a bigger roster, so you have a better chance of substituting those players on COVID. Unlike the NBA, it takes 12 people on a roster. You lose 7 players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? 6, 7, 8, 9 players. That's a bigger impact than it is in NFL and maybe the NHL. But
I think their minimum
still a big serious thing.
I think the minimum in NBA is you have to have 8 healthy guys to dress to have a game, and these guys aren't meeting that threshold, so they're suspending games. Yeah,
yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to the game actually, and let's do
the game. Let's talk
their
about
season and all the positivity coming out of that Washington, 6 and 7 season so far. Yeah. See, I can make digs at your team too. So before this whole COVID thing hit this past week, where were you guys at mentally with this team and how they've performed so far this season as a whole?
Well, these guys like to say, and they even warned me before we came on. They said, "We don't want you talking at all, Stoner, because you're the negative Nelly kind of guy." But overall, on this season, I'm probably the most optimistic of all of us, because I don't think we're as bad as we were on Sunday against Dallas. I don't think we're as good as we were against Tampa a month ago either. I think we're somewhere in between. We can beat teams that aren't great, and we're going to lose to teams that are very good for the most part. This team is not terrible. This team is not great. They go as far as Taylor Heineke's going to take them, and they're not. That doesn't mean they're going very far. They're an 8-9, 9-8, sneak into a wild card, get bounced in the first round, get a mid-round draft pick year after year like they did this past year.
A development player.
Yeah, so they're not terrible as they were against Dallas.
They're in sports purgatory. just like the Eagles are at this point.
That's right.
I like to compare
most
it to,
teams
I don't know
right?
if you guys know your Sixers NBA history, but the
Yeah.
Sixers were like that during the Andre Iguodala, the after Iverson,
Sure.
before the Joel Embiid process. They were always at 7th, 8th, or 9th spot in the conference, always getting just knocked out in the first round. I mean, sports purgatory is probably one of the worst things to be in as a team, as a fan.
Well, I would probably say being a terrible team all the time.
Being Detroit
is
would probably
being Detroit. Being
Well, we're a terrible team
Jacksonville,
all the time too.
That's true.
For my opinion, thus far this season, I'm disappointed, obviously, because of how we finished last year, the key signings we made this offseason, the draft picks, the hype that was surrounded. I was a part of the hype. I was a sucker for it. I think all three of us here, we can say the same. And of course, we get hit by the injury bug. We lose Chase Young, then Montez Sweat, and then Curtis Samuel, who was a big name in the offseason, hasn't done anything since he left Carolina. It's just been a disappointment. So I really thought that I didn't think that we would be like on the 12, 13 win team, but I thought at least 8 to 10, maybe 11 win team, because the rest of the division before the season started looked dismal. But now, of course, here we are excited because of injuries and stuff. But to where we are now, I'm happy due to all the adversity. We lost, like I said, Chase Young, we lost him, Montez Sweat. We have Taylor Heineke up and down. We lost Ryan Fitzpatrick week 1,
right?
But we're still right there in the thick of things when it counts with the squad that we have now. So I'm resilient, just like the team. How about that?
This has been a gritty team, and I mean, they started the season 2-6. The 4-game winning streak certainly put a smile on a lot of fans' faces, ours included. Now, this particular week has not been a great week, so I think a lot of fans kind of reverted back to some of the abysmal talk that we saw when they were 2-6. Not particularly, we got Trevor, who's like I said, he's that optimist we needed on our podcast.
Power of positivity, Trev. It's okay to have that all the time.
Thank you, Phil.
During that 4-game win streak, I wasn't seeing a lot of draft talk. They lose to the Dallas Cowboys, and now all of a sudden I've seen all the draft talk pull out again. Just from the one loss, and now with the COVID hits and the injuries piling up, you're looking at this home stretch, which the Eagles have pretty much the same. They have the same schedule. Right? They play Washington twice. They play Dallas, and they play the Giants. Ours is the same thing. We play the Eagles, the Dallas, and the Giants. So it's a crazy thing here to end that schedule. Whichever team out of the two ends this season with a better record out of these last 4 games is going to be the one who takes that playoff.
Yeah, I actually, it's great that you bring up the schedule. I actually think, even though we have the exact same schedule, I think the Eagles have the easier schedule going forward. And there's a really key reason, because you guys play Dallas next week. We play Dallas the last week of the season. If Dallas has that division wrapped up by that point, I've said it all season long, we were going to split with Washington these 2 games. I figure we beat the Giants. You guys could beat the Giants the last week. We're going to go into the last week of the season playing Dallas, who's probably going to be resting half their starters. Who knows what else is going on at that point? No.
Yeah, because I already have the 4th seed locked up. Probably won't be able to get that 3rd seed from
exactly. So that kind of puts the Eagles in the driver's seat on the schedule aspect of it right there.
For sure.
But you guys have had crazy amount of injuries, and now obviously COVID and all. I said before, I think I said it when you guys were on the show in the offseason, that I thought Washington was a quarterback away from being a dominant team in the NFC and dominating the NFC East. But yet we still haven't learned anything. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been out almost the entire year. Tyler Heineke, I mean, has he really done anything to show major improvement over last year? Not really. He's not your cornerstone, quarterback for the next 5 years. So Washington's kind of in the same boat as the Eagles right now, where they have no direction at quarterback at this point, right?
Yeah. But I would disagree in that Taylor Heineke has shown improvement over the course of this year. That doesn't make him the cornerstone like you're talking about. He's not the quarterback of the future. He's at best a bridge type quarterback, a backup type quarterback, a guy you can throw in there for a couple of games to keep you afloat while your stud is either learning or overcoming an injury. But he has made improvement throughout the year. He was
I definitely think
Pretty
he's earned
bad at
himself
the
another
beginning.
paycheck. I think
He's earned himself probably $50 million.
Yeah, he should be in
Over
the
his
league
career.
for a while, like a Colt McCoy,
100%.
Chase Daniel type player.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Washington is in the position.
How can we
where
say
they
that
have
right now?
to- have
Because
to
of the
decide.
4-game win streak? Is that why? Because the 4-game win streak? That's literally the only thing he has going for him right now, you guys. Is a 4-game win
his
streak to
body
get us
of
to
work
6-6.
is no different than he's played more snaps than Chase Daniel. His win-loss record is probably just as good as Colt McCoy.
Trev, I'm not saying he's going to get a 4-year, $50 million contract next year, but he's going to sign with somebody, a 3-year, $10 million contract. And then he's going to sign another 4-year, $18 million contract. He's going to make a ton of money.
Yeah, that's good.
All I'm saying.
I don't want it to be here. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just saying
I said he didn't make improvements because I just look at the stats. I mean, it's not like I watch every Washington football team game. I just look at Antonio Gibson has not had a great year. I think that's a little bit more on usage rate and the play calling. Terry McLaurin's had a good year, but not to the level that we expected him to be a top 5 wide receiver this season. Is that more the quarterback situation?
Yes.
Or is that the offensive coordinator and the game planning?
No,
the coordinator has a hand in it, but he can call the plays. But if the quarterback can't answer,
Taylor Heineke can't throw a deep.
I know,
ball.
but my prime example of the play calling situation is we have Taylor Heineke the entire year. He goes out last game. We run an RPO with Kyle Allen as a quarterback keeper, and we get a first down. And we don't run that at all with Taylor Heineke. Which baffles me.
We did, by the way.
He doesn't keep it that much.
After that.
Okay, well, yeah, it took Kyle Allen to get it going.
He makes that decision to give it to Gibby, which I think is honestly the smarter decision most of the time.
Sometimes, I don't know. But
during
also,
the 4-game win streak is where you saw the growth, Phil. And that was where Taylor Heineke wasn't pressing as much. So if you're looking at the box score, it's really not impressive. I mean, if you look at the percentage of his completion percentage, that's eye-popping because I think during the 4-game win streak, they're like 75%. I think one game he was over 80% completion rating. But outside of that, those weren't really like exciting games, but they didn't need to be because they were using Gibson. They were focusing on the run a little bit more. At that first half, they would get 3-4 yards on a run, but in that second half, they're getting 8-9 yards a run because they stuck with it. And Heineke was just told, "Don't lose the game."
That's what I do, Phil.
And that's one of the reasons
you're raising your hand.
That's one of the reasons why they lost this Dallas game. They were down 24-0, and Heineke had a press.
I feel like I'm Sister Mora at Holy Cross.
But then
call on you.
But this is why I think it's more on the quarterback too, because we just saw on Sunday when the running game doesn't work, that's when the quarterback needs to step up and make plays, and he can't do that. He's shown that over and over again. Yeah. So that's why I mean the 4 games is nice.
We all agree then. We all agree they're on the quarterback is the problem right now.
Yeah, because
I don't want to talk next year, but do you guys draft a quarterback then? Or do you guys go out and try to get the Aaron Rodgers, the Russell Wilsons?
One or the other.
Yeah. You guys don't have a preference on that?
I think you draft and then go find a Marcus Mariota type veteran or something like that, a mid-tier veteran to come in and kind of help. Because Taylor Heineke still needs to learn. I mean, he had Fitzpatrick in his ear. I'm not ducking you, Philly. Schedules are crazy. Anyways, he still needs to develop. I mean, he had Ryan Fitzpatrick to try to lead the way, but that didn't work out. So now you're depending on him to be the leader of a quarterback room. If you draft somebody and let him learn off of Taylor, that's not a very good learning experience because he can't make NFL throws that are supposed to be made.
His tangibles,
so you go
Taylor Heineke's tangibles are where he's lacking.
God.
His intangibles, he's got those. I think he's a great leader. I think that he understands the game well. And this is what you want in a quarter. This is what you want in a backup quarterback, right? You want your backup quarterback to understand the game plan.
Listen to us right now.
Quarterback.
We're talking about a backup
Trev's
quarterback
favorite
right
word,
now.
by the way, is moxie. Make sure you use this word a lot, okay?
Moxie, okay.
Yeah,
Heineke has a lot of moxie. So, like, he has that leadership traits. He has that moxie. But what he lacks is arm strength. He lacks the height. He lacks the fact that his hand.
I was just gonna say this exact comment that my man at Sports and Metal said right here. It sounds exactly like the conversation I have weekly about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, bro. He's not the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
I won't say
nobody's
he's not the guy, but
I
Oh,
like.
you
Well,
Right.
Jalen's more the guy than Taylor will be ever.
yeah. Maybe.
100%.
I really wish that Philadelphia wouldn't have drafted him in the second round. I don't know if I mentioned that the first time. I really wished that he was going to fall to third or fourth, and Washington could have grabbed him because I think he needed some time to develop. Jalen Hurts needed time to develop in the right program because I do think he's a great leader, and I think that he has a good skill set that just needs to develop. So I'd much rather face.
Let's transition to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and their whole quarterback situation to get your outside perspective, guys. I don't know if you saw today, but Nick Sirianni did not commit to Jalen Hurts starting this week. That he announced that it wasn't just an ankle sprain; it was a high ankle sprain. He only took part of the snaps, in practice today because he's still not 100%. Do you guys care who the starting quarterback of the Eagles is on Sunday?
Absolutely.
Actually, we do.
If it's
Who do you
Jalen
guys
Hurts,
want to start for the Eagles?
Minshew Mania, baby.
Minshew.
So
We
you guys are
can't
not buying
afford-
the Minshew Mania hype.
No,
I mean,
I
he's
think
good,
fine.
but the mobile threat that we have with Jalen Hurts is not present with Gardner Minshew. And if you had Jalen Hurts, that mobile threat would destroy us for sure on Sunday. For sure. So we definitely want Gardner Minshew.
The quality of linebacker play that Washington has right now, with the number of defensive linemen that are out, Jalen Hurts, even with one ankle, would absolutely shred this defense. And that's a problem. And you can look back at the Seattle game and just look how open when Wilson decided to run the ball, he was getting wide open runs. And that's what Hurts would be able to do. And not that Minshew isn't mobile, because he's still a young guy who can move, but he's not Jalen Hurts breaking it for a 50-yarder. And I think honestly, what Philadelphia is doing is a little bit of gamemanship. You expect that. Oh, they're not going. They want Washington to game plan against both. Yeah. Obviously, Minshew is a more polished passer than Hurts.
It feels like.
I mean, everybody got all hyped because Gardner Minshew went 20 of 25 against the Jets. He threw a bunch of touchdowns against the Jets. But there's two things there. One, it was against the Jets. And if you really watch the film and break down the film of that game, his two big touchdowns to Dallas Goedert were actually underthrown balls. He was behind, the receivers.
Oh my goodness.
Times. He was actually not as good as the numbers say. And it's
Taylor Heineke.
Everything you guys are talking about the linebackers and Hurts running. That's what we talk about in Philly. Our linebackers stinking all the time. So it's kind of like, not only do we both have 6 and 7 records, not only do we have quarterbacks, like literally
the same team.
The Spider-Man meme. We're pointing at each other.
The only difference is you guys got Riverboat Ron and we got Nick Sirianni, who's still at this point an unknown X factor at this point.
Now, I'm trying to look back into the recesses of my mind here of when we were on the last time. Weren't you really, really hyping up Sirianni and his communication with Hurts and how they had this great leadership team? And now you're killing them.
What happened?
I'm not. I said at the beginning of the season, before the season, with your show, every other show, I buy into Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, the leader. Yeah. The leaders of men, being off the field, the practice, the work ethic. I buy into all that. The question is, will any of it ever translate to major success, win-loss record-wise?
Talent.
And that's where we're still.
It comes down to talent.
I mean, we're just
always
like you
comes
guys.
down to talent.
Same.
We're 6 and 7, just
That's
like
exactly
you guys.
what
We've had 4 or 5 really good games. We've had 4 or 5 horrendous games, and we've had a bunch of games that were just kind of like meh. So you can't say yes or no on either of them yet. Yeah. But the difference is they're both in their first years basically, and the Washington Riverboat Ron is. What? How many years has he coached in the NFL?
He's a lot more seasoned. My question is,
he's very seasoned.
Is Philadelphia punching above its weight? Because Washington is, a lot of NFL pundits would say, put Washington at like 4 wins on the season. Washington fans, we thought it was going to be much higher, but across the league, they said it. This still wasn't a very good team. And so they put it at 4 wins. There's been some games like the Tampa Bay game where they very much punched above weight. Has Philadelphia done that this year? You mentioned 4 to 5 good games.
Yeah, I mean, not against great teams. No, not really. Yeah. I mean, I was at the Chargers game. They should have won that game. I think it's come down to the simple fact that the inexperience of Nick Sirianni, play calling, especially early in the season. I mean, we've rushed 175 yards total or more 6 straight games. Problem is, we did not do that the first. What, we're 13
Yeah,
games in.
I
So
remember
the
that.
first
It
7
was
games of the season, we were throwing the ball 40, 45 times a game, and that's just not,
yes.
the way it's, we're built to play. So I think Nick Sirianni learned a lot on the fly, and I think they can punch above their weight, if you want to use that phrase, the rest of the season. They get into the playoffs, say they run the table, and they get in the playoffs. Who knows who they play that first round? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying they're going to beat anybody. They're not going to beat the Cardinals or the Rams in the first round of the playoffs, but they can hang, and they've shown that because they hung with the Chargers, a few weeks ago. And it just came down to their linebackers not being able to get us off the field. That last drive, I think the Chargers it was like an 8-minute drive to end the game. So something ballparking in that number there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the weakness. So I saw a lot of pundits and national media put the Eagles right where Washington, 4 wins. I saw some people thinking the Eagles were going to have 3 wins this season. So
I thought that. Personally,
I
I
think so. I did.
I predicted 9-8. If we go 3-1, I'm right there. I'm right on my number right there. So.
I predicted us 12-5, but I don't want to talk about that.
I don't think I did not predict 9-8 making the playoffs though. Now 9-8.
Oh yeah,
9-8 makes
sense.
9-8 now makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
9-8 might even get you the 6th seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So which would be really interesting and all. So that's interesting. So then, what does Washington have to do this week then? Going up as shorthanded as they are going to be to even compete this week. Can they even compete this week?
Yeah, we can. We still have Gibson, our run game, and our MO the past few weeks, I guess, since the start of the 4-game win streak is run the ball, kill the clock, run the ball, hold the ball. And what you just said about the 8-minute drive from the Chargers killed you guys. It sounds like that's what we need to do. I guess it's just the same thing. Control the clock. But
Antonio Gibson hasn't been consistently used all season long the way that you're talking about. And also the way they were talking about making him the next Christian McCaffrey in the offseason, were they not?
Yeah, they were.
There was something, and he's mentioned that himself recently, that he wants to be an offensive weapon rather than just a running back. But he has had some fumbling issues
big time
this year.
He leads
that
the league
have reared their ugly head, and he's in fact been benched in games to do this. Now, during the Carolina game, he was benched for most of the second quarter, comes back in the second half, and just goes on a tear. So. He during the 4-game win streak, he has been used the way that you think that he should be used, which is that bell cow back. And if Washington sticks to that game plan, which is a more balanced attack, run Gibson, that's the way that they're going to win this game. Now, Philadelphia's defense, if the linebacker play is not great, if they can make it through the line, that's great. Washington's line right now is banged up though, so they have been called Baldy's breakdowns. He's been calling the Hogs for a bit because they've been mauling people, but the injuries have been kind of wear and tear. We're not even sure who's going to be playing right tackle because the backup right tackle just ended up on the COVID list, and we're not sure if the rookie right tackle is going to who's been activated off of injured reserve, if he's actually going to be back to playing. So it's going to be scary to see whether or not they're actually going to be able to get the run game going.
Because
it's really interesting how you guys are talking about the offensive line and how that, when you have a young team, a young quarterback, a struggling offense, there's nothing that could get a team going more than letting your offensive linemen do what they're built to do. And that's run block. It's so much easier to run block than it is to pass block. And that's what we were preaching in Philly nonstop. I mean, if you guys see, Jordan Mailata, a rugby player that's never played in the NFL, is rating out as one of the top left tackles this year in the NFL. And it's because once we started committing to running the football, you guys have the Hogs. I don't know what you want to call the Eagles offensive line, but that's what they're built to do. Push forward and block and open. If Jordan Howard at 26 years old, who was averaging, I think it was 1.3 yards a carry last year with the Dolphins, and all of a sudden he went, before he got hurt a few weeks ago, he had 6-7 straight games of 60 yards. All of a sudden, just like that, came out of nowhere off the practice squad. So run blocking saves any struggling offense, especially with a young quarterback, in my opinion.
I'm surprised at the outside view of Antonio Gibson saying that he's kind of struggling this year. Yeah. He's having an above average year. You can't take the fumbles away, but I'm just saying from a production standpoint, if you look at where he's at in the league, in the NFC, I believe he's the second leading rusher in the NFC behind only Dalvin Cook, right? So he's having he's at almost 900 yards already.
Wow.
So he's gonna be at 1,200.
He's seventh in rushing
yards.
overall, second in the NFC.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of curious because I'll be honest, the national
really
perspective is teaching me that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the undue expectations. They put these expectations that he was going to be the next Christian McCaffrey on him.
Yeah.
This year. So maybe that's why the national, audience is saying, or the national media is telling the audience that he's not having a great year because that. I mean, I don't watch every single game. I see the down games,
and they're probably including the fumbles that he's lost into that.
Yeah. It's also his average is not as great as some of the others in the top 10.
Right.
So he's only averaging 3.9 yards a carry, which is significantly less compared to some of the others on there.
Absolutely.
Najee Harris, who's just above him, is the only one lower at 3.7. So
yeah, but yeah, so the perception is out there that he's not having a great year, and he's not having a great year. But he is having a very good
productive,
year. But you're right. I think the expectations were much higher, and he hasn't lived up to that. But you'll take an Antonio Gibson, minus the fumbles. You'll take an Antonio Gibson on your squad any day of the week. And for whatever reason, Washington's screen game has really struggled, and that's an area where he can excel is in the screen game. But they struggle. I don't get it.
The linemen have struggled, and Heineke has also.
And it's Heineke, bro. And also, he's going to have to do a little bit more than what he's been doing because J.D. McKissic is out with concussion lately, and that was our third down back or our passing back, and now Antonio Gibson's kind of steering away from the power run and had to take over that because the compensation is not there for that anywhere else.
So someone did ask earlier in the comments what your guys' thoughts are. Is Terry McLaurin going to be activated and play for the game? I know he's dealing with a concussion issue.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either because he went down hard. He went down to the point to where his arms went numb as he went down. It wasn't one of those where he came down and then he kind of, my head hurts. This came down and his arms just gave out on him. Yeah. That's how bad that was. And if you look at like J.D. McKissic's, you can't diagnose concussions as easily as you can anything else. J.D. McKissic's was kind of benign, and he's missed 2 games, even though last week he practiced all week.
And then Jamin Davis had a concussion, and he played the week right after.
And he played the next week, right?
Yeah, but Juice was our third round.
He's been
rookie.
there 3 times.
He's out. He was another one with a concussion that popped back in and didn't see any snaps, and then he's out for.
I'd be shocked if Terry McLaurin plays this Sunday. I'd be shocked.
I don't think so. Yeah.
So I mean, that actually kind of puts me into the mood that the Eagles should be favored in this game. Most people should be picking the Eagles because if you take Scary Terry out of the equation, our defensive backs are actually like our best part of the team right now. Darius Slay's having an all-pro defensive style season. Avonte Maddox just signed a huge contract extension because he's back where he belongs in the slot. If you go back and look at his rookie tape when he was playing in the slot, he was a stud rookie for a 4th or 5th round pick. And then they moved him back to the outside, and then he struggled. They put him back in the slot this year, and he's excelling excessively. I mean, Steven Nelson's had an okay at best season, but if you take Terry McLaurin out of the equation, we could stack the box against Antonio Gibson. I would not.
That's
be
what
concerned.
Dallas did.
Yeah,
that's exactly what Dallas did. And they're going to make Taylor throw.
Exactly, and if you've got nobody to throw to, Logan Thomas is out. Isn't the backup tight end Ricky Seals-Jones?
Ricky Seals-Jones is on the COVID list.
Up a lot.
He's on COVID.
He's on the COVID list.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I thought Samus Reyes was on the COVID list.
I had Logan Thomas. I picked up Ricky Seals.
I think Ricky Seals was at practice today with John Bates. He was not on COVID list.
I mentioned him when I did. Let me look.
He's going to check the old COVID list.
I'm about to prove him wrong. He's not on COVID.
But then you got our number 2 receiver, Curtis Samuel. He hasn't
played at all this year, pretty much.
He's played no more than 20 snaps a game, and he's been in like 4 games.
I was so excited to see Curtis Samuel get away from Carolina and that awful passing situation. I thought just going to Tyler Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be a huge upgrade for him and his success
so did
this year.
we.
But the injuries just have kept him from playing big time this year. So offensively, I'm not scared whatsoever going against Washington.
You shouldn't be.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Even
Right,
taking
right.
the COVID
My mistake.
situation
Ricky
out of the
Seals Jones is not on. He is one of our
Okay.
injured players, not
Okay,
one of our
gotcha.
COVID players.
Yeah.
He's actually he played last week though.
Yeah, I picked him up when I lost
Wait.
Logan Thomas, so I wasn't aware of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So then the question comes down to, can Washington's defense, with the 47 guys that are out now, stop the Eagles? Can they stop
I
Jalen
think
Hurts? Can
so.
they stop Gardner Minshew? Can they stop
think.
whoever it is out there?
I think so because most of our, I mean, if we can get pressure on the quarterback somehow, some way, I think we'll be okay. Because most of our hits have gone to defensive line, so that's where the game is won, is in the trenches. So if our reserves or whoever's left can create some kind of pressure for our secondary, which has been playing very well lately, and the linebackers, they're not ideal, but they have stepped it up in the past
Cole
few
Holcomb's
games.
had a good year.
I mean,
Cole
they really
Holcomb's
have.
had a good year.
So if we just find some pressure to get on the quarterback, I think we'll be okay. But if we can't,
Well, then
do that,
the
then-
counter to that to you guys is you talk about pressure to the quarterback. Let's be honest. Outside of 2 weeks ago against the Jets with Gardner Minshew starting, the success the Eagles have had is Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 14, 15 times a game and running the ball 40-plus times a game. Can Washington stop our offense if we're running 40, 45 times a game?
Washington's
And
rush
that's-
defense is actually really
Yeah.
good, and one of the bigger and a familiar name for Eagles fans, big addition returning for Washington is Landon Collins. So he was out for some health reasons, came back for this Dallas game, played some amount of snaps, but he should be healthy for this Philadelphia Eagles game. He plays kind of this hybrid safety linebacker role. So I think you're going to see him play a little bit closer to the line and really attack that, that rushing, play, those rushing plays for Philadelphia, probably even spying Jalen Hurts if he's the quarterback for the Eagles. And I think
will
that
say,
should help
I have
him.
to go, you're talking about the defensive line and these linebackers and stuff like that. Can I go off on a side tangent for a second with you guys here?
Yeah.
Your show.
What the hell did you guys do to Ryan Kerrigan? I was so excited to bring Ryan Kerrigan into Philadelphia this year.
We told him no.
We
We
tried-
told him
think-
no.
I think he has
We
shown
could've
up
told
on
you
the
that.
stat sheet 2 times all season. He's played in every game. He's getting 30, 40,
Oh,
50%
wow.
of the snaps. He's literally been on the stat sheet 2 different games this year. He's
broke
his
heart.
heartbreak
He-
kid.
Biggest waste of space there is.
He wanted to come back, and we were like, "Nah, dog, we ain't paying you that. You're not
You're
going to be a
welcome.
starter." He's not a starter. He wants to be a starter. We were like, "No."
Well, he's not starting for the Eagles, even with as bad as our, losing Brandon Graham for the season earlier this year, as bad as everybody else has played on our D line. He can't crack the starting rotation on our D line because he's playing that poorly. And I always say, I got certain players that I love to watch them play football when they're not against the Eagles. Ryan Kerrigan was always one of those guys. He terrorized the Eagles. He was a great high motor guy, always played well. But man, he is completely fallen off the wagon this year. And
But
I'm
you
a
know
little-
what?
I'm a little disappointed
I was gonna
that you guys
say,
couldn't give us something.
This is the type of game where the
He's gonna show up.
unexpected expect the unexpected. So yeah, Ryan Kerrigan might actually.
Yeah, I better
show
not
up.
see that heartbreak kid, man. I better not see
Oh,
it.
you know it will happen.
Maybe this is the
Of
week
course.
he shows up because it's going against his old team. You guys didn't
Exactly.
want him, so he's going to show up and want to, put a
Hey,
licking
you
on
remember-
Tyler Heineke.
You remember the false bill of goods you gave us with Donovan McNabb? Well, this is payback.
Yeah, no
This is
joke. Because I
payback,
was in the
son.
same boat. I
Wow.
was like, we got McNabb. Let's
Yeah.
go.
What
We
was
going
that?
to Super
$100 million
Bowl.
deal you guys gave him?
Yeah, it was hype.
Dude, yeah, that
Appreciate
that
that.
didn't work out. McNabb's my boy until he no-showed a show for me. So now McNabb's dead to me. So
That sounds like
Um,
McNabb. He no-showed his entire season he was here in Washington.
he no-showed a lot of
Yeah.
seasons after he left
Yeah.
Philly. Where else? He went somewhere else too. I don't want to make this a Donovan McNabb show. I'd rather talk Carson Wentz than Donovan McNabb at this point. That's
okay.
it. Carson's done us well by playing all season and not getting hurt, so we get that first
Yeah,
round
so you
draft
get
pick.
that
I
high
say
pick, yeah.
you're talking about purgatory. You guys are in purgatory.
Yeah,
You guys are
picks.
in a great position for the upcoming draft because
3 first round.
So what are you guys gonna
Three.
do?
3 first.
What do I want them to do, or what will they do?
Yeah, what do you want them?
what do
We
you
don't-
want
we
them
don't
to
care
do?
what
I
they'll
want them
actually
to
do.
trade one of those picks to next year.
Oh yeah.
Move one of them into a future year, pick up maybe an extra second or third round pick this season. so that if Jalen Hurts is not the guy, because Jalen Hurts has earned the right to be the guy next year, we're not getting Russell Wilson. We're not getting Aaron Rodgers. The quarterback class is the quarterback class is no. I don't want Deshaun Watson. I don't want that headache in Philly and everything.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, I do.
You want him in Washington or you want him in Philly?
Yeah, I'll take him.
If he's cleared
I'd like him
if he's cleared,
I
that's
want him
another whole
here.
subject.
If he's cleared,
yeah, that's
I'll
what I'm saying.
trade all 3
That's a
first round picks
big
for him if he's
if.
cleared.
That's a big if.
All right.
Exactly.
But if you don't trade all 3, what do you do?
I mean,
What do you do?
What I would want them to do is I want defense. We need a safety. We actually surprisingly need a defensive lineman, and we need a linebacker. I would use all 3 first round picks on defense.
We'll give you
Yeah,
Jamin
because
Davis
defense
for
wins
one of those
championships.
firsts.
What do we do?
Yeah, you can have Jamin Davis. Yeah, you can take him.
One of the firsts.
But what I've been talking about on my show is I know we've drafted a boatload of early wide receivers, first round, second round, the last couple of years.
It worked out
Don't
really
be
well.
surprised if we draft another wide receiver.
Well, you need
Because Howie Roseman's track record is wide receivers early, defense late. That's just what he does. So, I mean, he got Devontae Smith right. So he's probably going to.
He did.
That's probably our biggest hole on our team is wide receivers. More than
Yeah, because
quarterback.
outside Devontae, you don't have anybody, right?
We don't. I mean, Quez Watkins, who's now on COVID. I mean, we overhyped him because he made one big play in the preseason, but he's nothing special.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor. I mean,
yeah, I didn't count him.
I don't know if you really know your offense and your wide receivers in the NFL. You should because he played for the Eagles. Jalen Reagor has less wide receiving yards and less touchdowns than Matt Collins, who plays for the Dolphins. Okay, he's a special teamer on the Dolphins. He's got like 4 touchdown catches on the year. He's got like 400 yards receiving. And
what happened, bro? He was supposed to be a high prospect out of TCU. Fast.
Dude, I was so down on Jalen Reagor the second we picked him. He had a 55% completion or catch rate in TCU, and everyone said that was because he had a bad quarterback play. It's not. It's because he only does one thing. He can run a straight line really fast. Doesn't mean you're going to get open. It doesn't mean your quarterback can get you the football. Jalen Reagor can't do that.
Well, that's what they said about.
Now it's all got to his head. He's really soft on social media. You constantly see him getting into beefs on social media, which gets into his head. Everything, you know. Everyone's going to talk about Justin Jefferson went next to the Vikings. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Well, everybody's got those stories.
The best situation. One of you guys just said you wanted Jalen Hurts, right?
I would have liked Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
So
He's
there was a
Nathan's
chance for
Oklahoma
Jalen Hurts
guy.
to be there for you. There was a chance because the Falcons wanted to trade with us, where we could have drafted CeeDee Lamb at 14. They wanted the pick that turned into Jalen Hurts and the pick that was Jalen Reagor. So we basically could have traded Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor for CeeDee Lamb, and then Hurts could have slid to you guys in the second or third round.
We'll take that.
Yeah, we would have taken that for sure.
It's crazy, but that's Jalen Hurts. That's Howie Roseman's track record: draft wide receivers. So I keep telling people, they call me crazy. They will draft a wide receiver if they don't trade the picks in the first round.
Is this?
Well, they should.
Is this? Hey Phil, is this true? Because we had somebody comment on our show earlier. Does the owner make the decision who starts at quarterback for you guys? Seriously,
or Howie.
There is no. There is proof. Doug Peterson did say in an interview after he was fired that he was not in control of the 46 guys that dressed on Sundays. Like he had no say. Howie Roseman chose which one of the 53 active rosters dressed on Sundays. Howie Roseman had to say on who was inactive. But the rumors are that Jeffrey Lurie tells Howie Roseman what to tell the coach. And that's why Nick Sirianni got hired as the coach. Because McDaniels, Brady, none of the veteran or experienced coaches wanted to come here because Doug Peterson was hired as a puppet. And then once he won a Super Bowl, then all of a sudden he had the confidence to stand up for himself. And that's when everything deteriorated and fell apart. So, there was going to be never a coach that wasn't a puppet that came to Philadelphia at all because it's all the front office calling all the strings. It's Jeffrey Lurie wants to be Jerry Jones, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Picking the players, picking the roster, or all that.
That
stuff.
didn't really work out.
The problem is Jerry Jones has been doing it since how long has Jerry Jones owned the team? And Jerry Jones has been picking the players for 30 years now. Jeffrey Lurie, when he bought the team in '93, wasn't like that. This is all like a later portion of his life, kind of. He's getting more physically involved, and that's when it's happening now. So he doesn't have the experience.
So how long does Nick Sirianni have until he's gone in Philly?
Until he wins the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
If he wins the Super Bowl and then gets that confidence, they'll probably kick him to the curb so they can bring in another yes man. There's a story from, I think it was 2 years ago. It was either last year or 2 years ago where we beat Green Bay. and it was a bad windy day, and we ran the ball like 40 times. And the story is, and Doug Peterson has said this is an accurate story, that he was called into the office on Monday morning by Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Why did you run the ball so much?
Oh my god!
Because it's an analytics passing league. That's what sells tickets. That's what sells jerseys. That's what makes the money is passing. And he was questioned on running the ball. He's like, dude, it was 30-mile-an-hour winds, X, Y, and Z, all the different reasons. No, you will pass the ball more.
See, that's okay.
Now you just have to point to the Belichick 3-pass game that just happened this year.
That was brilliant.
I never fell asleep so fast in a football game.
So brilliant.
That was insane. By the way, you just have to stay away from TCU receivers in the first because Jalen Rager. We had Josh Dotson. Both receivers in the first. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Actually, because you're Philly, do that. Please draft a TCU receiver in the first.
Phil.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and say the COVID list didn't happen for us. We don't have 18 players out.
Right.
What were your thoughts before this report came out on this game?
It depended on Terry McLaurin and Tyler Heineke. If they were both playing as well, not injured, I would have said this was probably the game. It would have been close because we don't know what Nick Sirianni's going to be like coming out of a bye. Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches ever after a bye. Doug Peterson did really well coming out of bye weeks. They had plans on the bye weeks. We don't know what Nick Sirianni is. So I would have probably been predicting somewhere in the neighborhood of 27-24. It could have gone either way. But now because of the COVID and the injuries and everything else, I don't see that at all.
What do you see?
Man, I normally wait. I got to hear what you guys. I always wait to hear what you guys say. Then I lay the final prediction. So keys to victory. So game theory, game plan. How does it all play out? Nathan, then Stoner, then Trev. How do you see this game playing out and the final score of the game?
Nathan.
18-13 is my score. As far as playing out, I do think it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be, I think the defenses and probably more inept offensive play on especially Washington's side are going to be really what dictate this game. But I do think Washington has enough grit, even with enough players out. We talk a lot about the defensive line, and they've been hit quite a bit. But once you get down to your defensive end 4 and 5, when you're replacing them with numbers 6 and 7, those guys are on the same tier of play. You're not missing anything. We're already down the A tier guys. So when you're down in the C tier, those you're still getting just quality players. As long as they mind the gap and they play where they're supposed to play, they're going to be just fine. So I think Washington's run defense can do its best to contain what it is. Jalen still worries the heck out of me, and that's going to be the wild card there. If they can't contain him, it's going to be a bad day. But I do think they can contain the running backs, even as hurt as they are, even with Jonathan Allen.
We don't even know if Miles Sanders is playing for sure. I mean, he's trending in the right direction. The Eagles still have just as many, in non-COVID injuries as Washington does as well. Mm-hmm. Stoner, do you agree with that score, or you got a different game plan?
I've got a little bit different game plan. I've got Philadelphia winning 16-10. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think Washington has the offense when fully healthy to put up a lot of points. And now you're taking away McLaurin. You're taking away possibly, again, J.D. McKissick. I mean, the last 3 weeks they've scored 20, 17, and 17, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how much they've scored on offense with a healthy Terry McLaurin, with a healthy Curtis Samuel, with basically a healthy offensive line for the most part. Mm-hmm. And they're barely getting the ball across the goal line. So I don't see that happening with a little bit banged up Taylor Heineke. And, of course, without McLaurin, probably without Samuel, probably without McKissick, probably for sure without Logan Thomas. I mean, you're down to guys that you never expected to be playing. And so I don't see how that turns into all of a sudden an explosion of points. On the other side, I don't fear Philadelphia, their offense. There's nothing really to fear there. However, as Nathan pointed out, when we're playing the 7th guy, the 8th guy, the 3rd guy on the defensive line, the tackles, those are guys who are backups and practice squad call-ups for a reason. They're not as talented. You can show them exactly what they need to do. You can tell them to do it. You can give them all the motivation. They don't have the skill set to make it happen play after play, down after down. So I think you put all that together, and I think it's going to be a Philadelphia win and a low-scoring game, 16-10.
Gotcha. Trev?
I've got 23-19 Washington. I think it comes down to – I think it's going to be a lot of punts. I think it's going to come down to turnovers and explosive plays. Whoever has the least amount of turnovers and the more explosive plays, I think, wins this game, obviously. It's going to be a slugfest. Might be a little bit of a boring game.
Did I not give you enough time to talk there, Nathan?
There was a comment from Sports and Metal on there that said Justin Jefferson. I think it might have been because I wasn't clear on TCU versus LSU. So LSU receivers legit, TCU receivers no go. So I wanted to make sure I clarified in the comment section without taking up too much.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, it's 23-19. Washington wins. Explosive plays, less turnovers. I know Stoner and Nathan are always saying like 5th and 6th, 7th, 8th guys. Yeah, it's a problem. But the guys that we have, they've already been called up numerous times so far. So it's not like we don't know what to expect, and they can only get better. So I'm not fully discrediting them because they've already stepped up and had to play in. I mean, we did that last week with Dallas. Yeah, it was pretty much over in the first, but we lost 27-20 because our defense in the second half with Daniel Wise, with Rotimi, I know he got burnt, but our fill-ins did what they're supposed to do, and that's all we can ask. So
Dallas only scored one offensive touchdown.
Yeah,
in that game.
We have practice guys called up, like I said, but we've been calling the ball all year, so it's nothing new. So I think we'll be ready to go, and we have a bigger chip on our shoulder because everyone's counting us out now with 18 players gone. So,
all right. So
23-19.
I feel good about mine. So I'm going to preface my prediction here that I could change my prediction 110% depending on who the starting quarterback is for the Eagles, because it's not 100% right now that it's Jalen Hurts. So I did make a statement on Monday before this week started. On my Monday morning show, I said, Overreaction Monday, the Eagles have a better chance of winning the division or making the playoffs and winning out or whatever you want to call it if Gardner Minshew is the starting quarterback for the rest of the season.
Ooh!
Now, if Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback, that's better big picture for this team going into the next season. We make the playoffs, we're probably losing the first round of the playoffs anyway.
So let me hear this. Wait.
Yes. So it's an overreaction. It's meant to get it's a hot take to get a reaction. Gardner Minshew, we have a better chance of going 4-0 or 3-1 with Gardner Minshew this year than Jalen Hurts going 3-1 or 2-2. No doubt about it.
I'm gonna repeat something I said on one of our very first episodes that we ever did. Here, did Tom Brady all of a sudden get signed by Philadelphia?
Why? What do you mean? What?
I mean, Gardner Minshew, is he Tom Brady all of a sudden? You're going to go 4-0 with Gardner Minshew? What is going on here?
He's a better passer than Jalen Hurts.
I was going to say,
he got Dallas Goedert involved.
You shook your head when I said that he was a better, more polished passer.
But I went and said he's not great. He's just not. He's just better than Jalen Hurts to an extent. Look, Dallas Goedert. Everybody thought Dallas Goedert was this great tight end prospect, the star. That's why we got rid of Zach Ertz. Do you know against the Jets?
Dallas too. We paid Dallas Goedert.
Do you realize the game against the Jets? He was drafted in 2018. He set his personal record in receiving yards against the Jets. It was only 105 yards. He had never had a 100-yard receiving game in his first 4 years of the season. Gardner Minshew got him the ball.
But did you not say that his two touchdowns or his two big plays, was it 2 touchdowns that he had?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns,
they were
underthrown balls.
Both underthrown.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was against the Jets. Absolutely.
One of those was a very special catch, too.
Yes, one of them was. Absolutely.
Put Jalen Smith in there last week. What happens?
Jalen
with what?
Hurts?
Put Jalen Hurts in there last week. What happens?
We still beat the Jets because it's the Jets.
Yeah.
But the Jets game, what was it, 33-18? It wasn't even that close, really.
Yeah, that was
we gave up a big
early.
opening. The opening kickoff, they ran back to like the 20-yard. They had like a 65, 70-yard kick return. We got backed up, gave up a quick score on like 2 plays.
That helps my dollar a bit.
Then it was 33-11 the rest of the game. We shut them out. Our defense shut out the Jets in the second half. So it was not as close of a game as the score represented it.
Do you
but if
think
it's Jalen
Jalen would have made it more interesting if he
maybe, I don't know.
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts, he's got that. I hate this comparison, but I use it all the time. He wins ugly like Tim Tebow. I'm a big Tim Tebow guy. When he was with the Broncos, he won a playoff game with the Broncos. His rookie, so he got the short end of the stick because he didn't do it pretty. Jalen Hurts is a slightly less ugly style quarterback than Tim Tebow, basically. He just wins with grit and heart and stuff like that. Gardner Minshew reads the defense, does the prototypical quarterback stuff. Yes, he was 1-7 last year with the Jags. But the year before, he was 6-6. 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in his career with the Jags.
That's good, bro.
That's not
behind
bad.
that offensive line. That's really really good.
Yeah, but he had games where he's completing like 5 passes and 6 passes, and he was not a good.
Gardner Minshew is not a quarterback. He's a great backup quarterback. We talked backup quarterbacks,
right?
He's on a super cheap rookie deal.
Yeah,
he's a 6th-round pick, so I don't even know what he's making less than $1 million right now. So he's a great rookie. He's a great backup quarterback to have on a team-friendly deal.
He's going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick. He'll be around for another decade, and he'll be starting games.
The personality makes people want to be around him and all. And I can't stand it. I just want you to play football. I don't even need all that extra stuff.
Yeah, we don't need
Uncle
all that.
Rico, man.
Yeah, I can't stand the Uncle Rico stuff. I just can't. Although, did you guys see after the Jets game? I'm going to get on a tangent here. Did you see the video of him in the parking lot with his dad?
With his dad, he was hyped, bro.
He was hyped. And that was funny. That was Uncle Rico talking to his dad. But then halfway through the video, you see like a light bulb switch in his head, and he just smiles and he hugs his dad he went from Uncle Rico back to Gardner, and that was just like that was really an emotional, great moment right there. I love that. Jalen Hurts starting quarterback, Eagles win 17-13.
Oh,
Gardner Minshew plays quarterback, we win probably 24-13.
Oh, jeez. No matter what.
Minshew mania, right?
Minshew mania is.
I'm going to get bashed for this and all. I know it.
17-13.
Nah,
you make a valid point.
I think we all reserve the right, though, to reevaluate this whole thing come Saturday after this COVID list. That COVID list could go way down for Washington.
It could go way up.
It could go up.
Way up.
But we don't know about McLaurin. We don't know about McKissick. We don't know about Samuel. It's still a little bit early in the week. So we reserve the right to change.
And the same thing can happen with the Eagles because they did have 2 positive tests. So when you have those first 1 or 2, there's a good chance that 5, 6, 7 more guys have it. Especially
that's how it started for us.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so much that could change between now and Sunday. That's why I am not betting a single football game until Sunday morning.
That's a good call.
Smart.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm not filling out a single fantasy lineup. I do my fantasy football show and gambling show on Thursday nights. I'm wearing the logo right here, DFS. No pun intended.
Right.
I won't fill out any of my lineups until Sunday morning, guaranteed about it. Yeah, because there's too much going on right now. All right, anything else you guys got? Before we wrap.
What's the biggest thing, the factor in you guys winning? Like, what's gonna propel you guys over the top? 17-13.
Nick Sirianni running the ball. Yeah. If Jalen Hurts is the quarterback, we need to run 40 times again.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't trust Jalen Hurts throwing 25, 30 times a game. You just can't. You have to have them that 15 to 20 pass to 40 rushes plus. That's where it is. That's where this offense is successful, especially with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback, and also less RPOs, because the RPOs is where Jalen Hurts struggles. It's when he's under center and handing the ball off, or under center rolling out and running on his own. That's when he has his success. When you got him in the RPOs and he's trying to read a defense and then make that decision on the RPO, and then's got to read the defensive backs on whether to pass it or not, that's when his mind just doesn't compute the information quick enough. And whether that's something he can get better at or not, we're still learning that. But that's where it is. It's Nick Sirianni's play calling is what wins us the game if he stays on what works, which is running.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
we'll find out Sunday.
We will find out Sunday, 1:00. I can't wait.
1:00. I can't either.
Yes, that is going to be great. I love 1:00 games because I'm old now, and then I can go to bed much earlier. I can't stay up till 11, 12 o'clock.
Especially it's getting dark at 4:30 now and 5 o'clock. It's like
here's what you need to do, Phil. For the game on Sunday, we do a live stream of us watching the game. You should turn us on. while you
Okay.
got the TV there on in front of you,
Yeah.
and you can see their reactions. You can chime in, all that good stuff. Because we'll be live streaming right along with that game.
I will
Yeah,
chime in
jump
for
in.
sure.
At halftime.
Yes, good. Right.
I'm actually going to be at a bar.
Yeah.
Because we're doing
All
a
right,
live remote. Also, we were invited to Henry James Saloon.
Nice.
Anybody listening? Team DSM will be joining the Bell and the Birdsman,
Nice.
broadcast from the Henry James Saloon.
Dope.
At least 3 or 4 of us. So make sure you guys check it out. But we can't all be on the air at the same time. So maybe at halftime, I'll check in and tell you guys I was 110% right on this prediction. All right, everybody.
Word.
This is the Ref the District team here. We got Nathan at the Nathan Perry. We got Stoner at StoneDog23. And we got Trev Stores WFT. Trev, when they change their name to a real name, will you change your handle? Or is it
I
going to
will.
just be watching WFT forever?
No, I'll change my handle.
All right, gotcha.
I'm getting,
Everybody
I'm getting
again,
tired of
You heard it here
WFT.
first.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you
Oh,
to
yeah.
that.
Up.
You
You got it.
This is trending for 4 quarters right here on DSM Media. Again, brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com, and use promo code TRENDING at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Trending in the AM with Jason Voorhees. We're going to break down the Sixers game tonight, and we're going to talk more COVID, unfortunately, in the NHL and NBA, just because there's so much going on with it. So make sure you guys check us out and stay tapped in. What's wrong?
Bill, I want to ask you a question. I don't want to take too long, but I wanna ask you a question.
Whatever. I'm on vacation right now. I don't care.
Are you trading Ben Simmons or are you keeping him?
He'll be traded. Whether he gets
All right,
traded
word.
now or by February when the trade deadline happens, he'll be
well.
traded by February 10th, guaranteed.
All right,
It's just
word.
a matter of for who, for what. Not to use that great line right there. For who, for what. You guys don't know who that is, right? For who, for what?
For what? Mm-mm.
No, that was Ricky Waters. Again, when he played for the Eagles.
Ah.
First game as an Eagle,
Uh-huh.
Ricky Waters, alligator arm to pass over the middle. After the
I
game,
remember
Flip
that.
Media asked him
Remember
why. And he said, for who, for what.
Nice.
That's
I
why
like
whenever
it.
you hear somebody say for who, for what, they're talking about Ricky Waters right there. You know?
All right, word.
Yeah, he really
Yeah, I
endeared
learned.
himself to the Philly faithful with that statement right there. Everybody, make sure you guys check these guys out. We're in a race to 500 subscriptions on YouTube. Let's get DSM there first, but let's get these guys there too. We should all. There's enough people. We should all
There's
be at
enough.
500
We should
subscribers.
all
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So
How
really,
crazy
we need
is it?
We all eat.
we really need 1,000 if you want to.
We need the goal was to get to 5 and then work on 6. Dude,
But
I
for
won't
both
lie,
of
guys.
us,
Last
1,000
week, I put out a tweet. I would shave my beard off for the first time in over a decade if we hit 500 subscribers by Tuesday. Unfortunately,
Oh, wow.
we only gained like 2 subscribers. We actually lost 2 subscribers.
No one wants. Yeah, it's like no
And
one
as
wants
soon
to
as I
see
did
that,
it-
Phil.
Yeah, exactly.
No one
I
wants
lost
to
2
see that.
subscribers instantly, then had to get those 2 back. Yeah, so nobody wanted to see that. So whatever it takes, you got to get to 500, then we can go to 1,000. Got to take baby steps, Trev. One step.
I would say 1,000 combined for both of us. We need 500.
Okay.
You need a 500.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't even
1,000.
know where we're at. We're like 423. I don't know. But make sure you guys are all subscribing to all the great YouTube channels and all the great content producers out there. Thank you, everybody, for checking in on the show tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Like I said, everybody have a great night. And again, I doubt these sound effects are coming through, but I'm going to play it off and maybe it goes through, maybe not. Who knows? Y'all have a great night. Go Birds.
Yes, sir. Go watch the
Hail to
football team.
Washington football team.